Hi, it's Jeff Moran. I want to welcome you to True Texas History. Today I'm going to be talking about religion in Colonial Texas. Um, and by Colonial Texas, I'll start with about 1824. And I see this as an important thing. I know that the Texas historian John Jenkins reportedly once said that religion has no part of Texas history, and he actively worked toward removing its influence. I don't agree with John Jenkins in there. I think it definitely played a part. And the more you understand it, more sense you make out of a lot of things. You know, in the Mexican 1824 Constitution, it said, the religion of the Mexican nation is and will be perpetually the Roman Catholic Apostolic. The nation will protect it by wise and just laws and prohibit the exercise of any other whatsoever. And back in those days, nations did go ahead and establish national religions. It was not unheard of, and they were well within their rights to do that. And Stephen F. Austin knew this when he was bringing colonists in. In fact, he was very leery of ministers of other religions in his colony. Now, he did take a very loose definition of the word Catholic when considering potential colonists. And that allowed a lot in. In fact, he one of the people he brought was Joseph Bays, and he was an early Baptist preacher and a member of the colony, and he remained with the other colonists. Now, the trouble started when Bays started preaching. He was arrested by Mexican officers, and they were dragging him off to San Antonio, and en route he managed to escape, took off, and eventually settled in San Augustine. And Austin once remarked that one Methodist preacher can do more mischief in this colony than a dozen horse thieves. And that gives you a little bit of his attitude. He didn't want people going around stirring stuff up. And so, in order to avoid a lot of stink, he often turned a blind eye to things. Like another person that came to his colony was Thomas J. Pilgrim. And Pilgrim served as a translator for Austin's colony, and he also began the first Sunday school in Texas in 1829. Although he was a Baptist deacon, his Sunday school was not strictly Baptist. It was open to anybody of all faiths. In fact, Pilgrim one time said of the early colony that there were some rude and illiterate people among us, and no more than may be said of almost any society, and that some were vicious and depraved is equally true. But what was of evil you saw on the surface, for there was no concealment. In other words, in the early colonies, you knew the bad people when you saw them. They weren't hiding it and trying to be something new. Now, eventually, his school ran astray of the law and forced him to abandon the school, and he ended up organizing another one down in Columbia and Brazoria County, because his first one was over there in Gonzales County. Now, one funny story, and this is one I like, because many times the religious differences in actuality were ignored. Yes, they did arrest some pastors, but in this one episode, some informants approached Colonel Piedras. Now, Colonel Piedras at that time was in charge of the Mexican garrison there in Nacogdoches. Piedras asked, "Are they stealing any horses?" The reply was, "No, Senor Commandant." "Are they killing anybody?" "No, Senor Commandant." "Are they doing anything bad?" "No, Senor Commandant." "Then leave them alone." And that was the attitude of the Mexican commandant. And those early pioneers, they did mold and shape the character of Texas. Texas definitely needed that. You didn't have established systems like you do nowadays, because a lot of the churches just went ahead and just sent missionaries, laid hands on them and sent them out into the field. They didn't have room for the seminaries. Shout out to Jonathan Perez. It's good to see you there, Jonathan. But it's an important part of Texas and Texas history when we understand the contributions of these people. And some of them were charlatans, and some of them were genuinely interested in helping people, and there weren't. You didn't have college educations and stuff like that to equip people for the frontier. So, but that'll give you a little glimpse into religious life in early colonial Texas. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrow with True Texas History, wishing you vaya con Dios.